Now I have to say, I'm not totally sure if this guy should be giving instructions on how to look for a gentleman to someone who's very much easy to manipulate. Like, this episode with whole Professor Penis going on, this series is something else, and I think that's why I really like it. It's just so weird, it pulls the weirdest punches, and I quite like it. This episode has probably the most interesting prisoner to date. Kano's easily the most entertaining, because this murder hotel, it almost felt like a Scooby-Doo episode, just way more sexual than Scooby-Doo ever would be, because there were so many, like, twists and turns, traps. It was like a maze, and it was very much like, you don't want to go to Kano's sex dungeon. Like, that's like the last place you want to go to, because you're going to get killed, you're going to be chopped up for the ultimate, basically Frankenstein monster, or whatever else Kano was kind of building up there. But this episode was actually pretty fun, because even though, like, they directed Kano as being, like, a very eerie person, and you didn't really want to get too close to Kano, it was hard not to like Kano as a character. It was just a very fun episode, and if you watch after the credits, we see Kano is still going to be alive and well. But it was just a fun episode because it was so different from past episodes. Like, sure, there was the Golden Kamuy charm that was always there, the more sexual jokes, the food stuff, and just the absurdity. But the idea of the murder hotel was actually very unique in terms of a setting, because it felt like nothing that we've seen in the series to date. Like, the way it was directed, like, visually, it almost felt like a different series while still remaining like a Golden Kamuy episode, and I think that's the strength of this episode. Like, I think this is my favorite episode of the series to date. I don't think next week will top it for me, just because it was such a weird episode, yet as weird as it was, it still felt natural for the series. And these are the kinds of episodes that I would expect in the middle stage of a season, not the second to last episode of the season. And I'm not upset that they put it here, it's just interesting that this happened so late for this season. I always appreciate it when you just kind of take an element that characters will typically interact with, such as a hotel, and just make it messed up. Just even though Kano was going to murder them all, it was kind of hard for me not to root for Kano. I don't know, it's just, the design was good, the personality was good, and just there was a lot of absurdity and creeps in this episode. It's like, well, maybe Kano can cut off one or two heads and they'll just be alright. But the comedy was actually really good in this episode. For as much as the blood and carnage was kind of starting to brew up here, you could definitely tell Kano wanted to cut up some people, licking eyeballs. It's messed up. It was very much a charm-filled episode, especially when you have the more food stuff, especially, like I mentioned, that whole Professor Penis. Like, I've been seeing that name pop up off and on throughout, like, Twitter and things, and I had no idea, like, what the hell that meant. Now I understand what it meant. It was pretty damn funny, I have to say, but like I said, I don't know if he should be teaching someone what it takes to be a gentleman when he's farthest from being a gentleman himself. But I do like how Sugimoto kind of dealt with Kano, like the fact that Sugimoto didn't get fully knocked out by the gas, how he lays like his sword at the doors as kind of like a safeguard so no one can come into the room. I like how even when other people are kind of being like pulled in throughout evil schemes and plans, Sugimoto's always there ready to kick some ass and take some names. And I'm glad he didn't hesitate to kick Kano just straight in the face when Kano was about to lick our girl's eyeballs. Like, it's just so messed up. But this show is kind of messed up in a way. Like, it just pulls some of the most absurd punches while still remaining to have a pretty engaging plot. It's just fun overall. Like, the series, I'm gonna miss it when it ends next week. We'll see if it ever does get a second season. I highly doubt it. It just feels like this is gonna be a one season and we're done. But I might check out the manga when it's over. But seriously, I think the directing of this episode was one of the more interestedly directed episodes, just because of the twists and turns, the maze-like hotel, and just the dramatic zoom that they would do on some of the characters' faces. Like, just Kano, like, creeping up above them and just looking down menacingly. It was creepy, but it was just one of the coolest shots, I think, in the series today. I'm probably the only one who enjoyed it that much, but it was just so, like, this character's so weird, so different than what we're typically used to for prisoners. You just can't help but love Kano. That's all I can say. Kano was a great character. I liked Kano a lot, and we'll see where episode 12 goes. Like, I'm interested to see where they'll go with the last episode, how it will wrap up. Like, I mean, we're not going to conclude the plot, but I'm interested if it will be a dramatic cliffhanger, or what they're going to do with it, because it's going to be a make it or break it episode for some people. For me, it's like, I know we're not going to have a concluded story. If we somehow get an announcement for another season down the line, I'll be shocked, but I'm expecting it will be unfulfilling. But I'm expecting that, so I'm putting my expectations there, so I won't be disappointed if it does just have a really bad cliffhanger. But I expect if it does have a bad cliffhanger, there's going to be a lot of people who are angry online, and I can understand why, but I've had a fun time with this show. It's definitely one of the more weird and absurd shows of the season, but it's hard not to love it, at least for myself. It's weird, it's goofy, it has a pretty serious plot at times, and then at others, you're just like, what am I watching? This is like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has a weird brother, and we're watching his anime right now. It's a fun show. I love the Murder Hotel. It was fun. Not much more to say past that. It was just a fun episode, an interesting episode, and a very unique episode overall. That's why it's my favorite episode of the series to date. But let me know what you're feeling. Did you love it? Did you hate it? For manga readers, how did you feel about the Murder Hotel and how it was adapted? Let me know down in that comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like. And if you're new, also be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.